crickets. The night seems dark, cold, lonely. I have just finished The Thundering Herd, after writing all day and up to now. I am tired. My arm aches, my head boils, my feet are cold, but I am not aware of any weakness. I do not feel that I have done well in the writing of this romance of the buffalo. Always I have the same feeling at the end of work. I seem to have failed in the great epic strife I set out to picture. But the story went on of itself and was not what I planned, and now it must stand or fall. This was the first time Dolly was not there to go over his manuscript and edit it for him. It is probable that Dolly felt that Doc, as she called her husband, should let that task to Millie Smith and see what happened. The manuscript, after being typed, was sent to Barton Curie, editor of the Ladies' Home Journal. Curie had problems with the story as written. For example, in the battle between the buffalo hunters and the Comanches, the narrative reached a point where Tom Doane, the youthful hero, had ventured back toward the horses to fetch canteens for the fighting men and the wounded, only to be shot at from ambush by a Comanche warrior. Doane sees the Comanche rise up before him. At this point the narrative stops and resumes with the story of Molly Fair, who is again captive of Randall Jett. When Gray does go back to the battle with the Comanches, it is as a narrative being told by Tom Doane to some young and eager listeners. Gray often resorted to this narrative device. After all, and certainly in this case, it was how he himself had first heard of so many events of the great buffalo hunt from Buffalo Jones, about whom he wrote a book, The Last of the Plainsmen, published in 1908, and who is a character he included in this novel. Curie's point was that Gray should carry on the battle to its end, and not rely on a back-telling device later on in the story. He also had numerous other objections, calling for revisions, not the least Gray's tone in some of the scenes. Gray rewrote his narrative accordingly. He had no choice if he wanted the Ladies' Home Journal to purchase it. Here is how he originally ended the battle with the Comanches, as told by Tom Doane. The horses were brought, and the dead men were hung over their saddles. Miller died unconscious. It was a strange, sad procession that reached camp. I was too sick to get up once I fell off my horse. Our wounds were washed and dressed. Next morning we buried our dead and broke camp, the worst of the cripples riding on the wagons. That night we were down off the Staked Plains. In 3 days we reached the Pease River camps to spread the news and get ready for another campaign against the Comanches. Here is how Gray had to revise it. Pilchuck, the scout leading the buffalo hunters, is the speaker. "Boys," he said, "I never expected any of us to get out of that fight alive. When those yelling devils charged us, I thought the game was up. We did well, but we were mighty lucky. It's sad about our comrades, but some of us had to go, and we were all ready. Now the great good truth is that this victory will rouse the buffalo hunters. I'll go after more men. We'll sure chase the Comanches and Kiowas off the Staked Plain, and that will leave us free to hunt buffalo. What's more important, it will make Texas safe for settlers. So you can all feel proud, as I do. The buffalo hunters will go down in history as having made Texas habitable." Gray was furious about what he had to do, but he did it. There was no second Gray serial in the Ladies' Home Journal in 1924. It was only when Dolly Gray, after her return from Europe, smoothed matters over at the magazine, that The Bee Hunter was serialized in 1925, but that also proved to be the last serial that Gray would write for the Ladies' Home Journal. There is no triumphalism in Buffalo Stampede as Zane Grey wrote it. As he had intended, it is the story of the passing of the buffalo, powerfully moving and in a way saddening. Gray's first draft reflects what he felt, and with all its narrative devices, so unsuited to magazine serialization, and its tone, again believed to be unsuitable for the readers of the Ladies' Home Journal, it tells a far more poignant and dramatic story. In order to distinguish this book from The Thundering Herd, Harper, 1925, as it was originally published, the title is taken from the title given to the film The Thundering Herd, Paramount 1930.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.